and then we'll start doing that. All right. Welcome everybody to another great episode of Struggles of Entrepreneurship with Hector Hernandez. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Elizabeth Miles. Hello, Miss Elizabeth.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing well, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to hear a little bit more about you. So Elizabeth and I met through an opportunity of finding entrepreneurs who were getting their word out and we're looking for a platform. And as you guys know, we provide that platform for entrepreneurs. So Miss Elizabeth, without further ado, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you and let us know how cool you are.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to talk with you. My name is Elizabeth Miles. I am an entrepreneur. I am a co-founder for Healing Lotus Connection. So we are a choose your own mindful adventure story. We offer pop-up workshops and online classes, all centered around getting people in to go within and be a little bit more mindful, take some time out of their crazy schedule, to be very present. You know, we're always so worried about what is happening, what happened yesterday or what's about to happen tomorrow. We need to take time to go within and just be here. So that's what we're all about.
Wow. And these are pop-ups. Where are you located?
So we're in the Philadelphia area. So Philly, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery counties for our in-person workshops. And then we do online as well.
Oh, okay. So we'll have an opportunity to share those information and your links at the end of this podcast and in the description, guys. So if you're interested in getting some personalized online coaching, please follow up with her. So, Ms. Elizabeth, let's go ahead and dive straight into this. Tell me a little bit. Who were you in high school?
In high school?
Yeah, who are you?
Oh my gosh. I was the type of kid. I was very shy, very reserved in high school. It took me probably at least all of freshman year to really settle in, to feel comfortable. I was very much an academic, into getting my homework done, and didn't really get involved a whole lot until sophomore year. And then I was involved in a community service organization. I was involved in the yearbook. I still was kind of shy though. I managed to get involved a little bit.
Well, that's great. I mean, high school can be a very intimidating part of our lives, especially where we don't feel we're ready for it yet, and they put us into some situations that are just different.
Yeah, it was. For me, it was I just have to do this. There was no option. You're just kind of trekking along on the path, right? I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I don't think any of us do when we're in high school. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. So tell me a little bit about, before you became an entrepreneurship, what are some work of the jobs that you had, some descriptions? What would you be doing?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, well, my very, very, very first job was when I was 15, and I worked for a bill collector in research. I've worked in retail management. I've worked in project management. I've worked in marketing, customer service. It's funny because now, being an entrepreneur and building a business, I see all the components of jobs that I've done in the past, and I can pull from that experience, which is great. But I've done a lot of different jobs prior to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's great. And that's really where this question was leading us to, right? A lot of times we feel we do things in our life and we don't want to be in that position, or this job sucks and so forth. And now that we have our own job and we have our own company, that you say, we're trying to start our own business, we realize that those traits and skills are something that you can bring along and adapt into your work.
Yep, absolutely. You never know where the current opportunities that you have are going to take you down the road. I think the important thing is just to make the most of where you're at on your path, and learn as much as possible, from the people that are around you and from the situation. So
yeah, learning,
because I had no idea when I was 15, I had no idea that I was going to be an entrepreneur or, anything close to where I'm at right now. So you never know.
So tell us that transition. How was it from retail management to entrepreneur? I mean, I know you did other things, but how was that transition from corporate America into I'm doing my own thing?
Oh,
What led
a,
you there?
a fun and scary roller coaster. um, okay, so prior to Healing Lotus Connection, I owned Sweet Ladybug Baked Goods. So that was a vision that I had from the time I was a little kid. I wanted to be a baker. The transition was scary because I was super excited about the idea that I wanted to create, but now I had myself and myself alone to depend on for financing and, putting food on the table, and had to figure out a way to make it work. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have. Like when you're an entrepreneur, you still need to battle your mind every day to figure it out, which is something that no one really tells you. And
Yeah.
even if you've heard it, you don't feel it until you're in it. So
Yeah, or a lot of time you don't know you're battling your mind, right? A lot of
yep,
time
exactly.
you don't know what's going on. You just feel like, why? How come I can't overcome this? And it's really internal.
It is. I mean, even so, I was probably, I want to say 2 or 3 months into the bakery business. And when I started, I thought I was going to open this big cafe, and that's not at all how it started. I grew out of pop-up farmers markets every week. But I remember sitting in my kitchen in the bake shop, in a commissary kitchen that I was working out of. And, at that point, it was like I forgot how to bake. I was culinarily trained. I'd been baking my whole life, loved to cook, loved food. And I felt like I couldn't even make a cookie anymore. And I remember sitting there feeling so defeated and went, okay, I have a choice to make. I can either give up or I can keep going. And when I decided, the option was not to give up, I was like, okay, what can I do differently now? Because I have to pivot. Something's not working. And that was the moment for me where I was like, we're just going to keep going, but we're going to go in a different direction. I had to make a pivot.
Yeah, yeah. And that's actually the title of your book, which is very interesting. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about your book and what got you to do that.
Yeah. So I wrote, This is Where You Pivot, The Shift from Fear to Freedom.
Nice.
And it is a book very much about my story. My hope is that as you read it, I can like short circuit the problems that I had for you. So all the limiting beliefs, how you overcome, I grew up bullied, teased, not feeling very secure in who I was. And not that I am like perfect at this point, but I feel like I can recognize a lot of those limiting beliefs as they come up. And a lot of times it's just fear that we don't want to let it go. We don't want to let go of the story that we keep telling ourselves, and we don't understand where that story comes from. So I wrote the book last July is when it was released. So I'm
Wow.
really proud of it. And I hope it serves, people really well.
Congratulations on that. That's very interesting. It's a very daunting task to do a book, and you did it,
Thank you. Thank
right?
you.
So you are an entrepreneur from heart. So
Yeah.
let's dive into this a little more. Who are three people who have been influential to you in the whole journey of entrepreneurship?
Oh gosh. So my very first coach has been a huge she's been so instrumental. I opened the bake shop, got into business, and knew I needed someone to just kind of hold me accountable and help hold my hand through this. And she really had helped me. I think I worked with her for probably 18 months off and on. And as an entrepreneur, that was invaluable for me as a guide, as a mentor, someone that I could open up to and without judgment. Like I could tell her, what I was afraid of, but at the same time, she would listen and then knew when to insert, you need to get over yourself, like, and
Yes.
keep me in that reality moment. So that was amazing. Um, I have met some amazing people along the journey. There's another woman from this Philly market who, watching her and how she teaches, trains, and mentors other women. Her philosophy is very much lift as you climb. So watching her and being able to be in her presence and listen and share her knowledge and experience, and I get to share mine, has been instrumental. And she's taught me a lot. And then, who else? One more person. I mean, my kids, really, there's 4 of them. But I mean, I get to look at them every single day. They give me ideas, they inspire me, and they encourage me to keep moving on. So I'm going to lump all 4 of them into one person.
That's great. So how old are your kids? Tell us a bit more about that.
They are 19, 18, 15, and 14, although my younger 2 will be 15, 16 in about 2 weeks. So we're coming up on birthdays. I can't leave that out. They'd probably be upset with me if I did.
I don't do that. That's very important. Wow, you have grown teenagers. That's amazing.
I do.
And that also means that you have your hands full.
It's awesome. It's awesome. My son's in college. My oldest is married, and so it's my younger 2, really, but they're amazing. And they help a lot. You know, when they worked in the bake shop with me almost the whole time, they would work birthday parties with me. Which is nice because they get to see you create a dream, you know, right? You get to build it and it takes work. Yeah.
And family is really what it is. That's really who's going to be there at the end. And that's great. Showing them some work ethic, showing them mom's a go-getter. That's a great example. My mom was also a go-getter, so I know exactly the kind of role model that you can be for a man. And that's great. So let me ask you this question. If you could have a billboard, what would it say?
What would my billboard say? It would actually probably say, "This is where you pivot," or "Love wins always."
Okay.
And so they're very different messages, right? The pivot is, you know, at any given moment, I talk about this in the book, and at any given moment, you have the choice to make a different decision for yourself. And in that moment, it's the pivot. It's not the big action. It's that decision, that decisive motion that you want something better for yourself. And I think that's something that no matter where you are in your life, whether you are starting out as an entrepreneur, have been in business, or you're working a corporate 9-to-5 job, or you're a stay-at-home mom with your kids, like at any given moment, you can make a choice. But ultimately, that choice comes from love, because you love yourself, because you love your family, because you want something better for, you know, where you're at and the world around you, which is where love comes in. So I talk a lot about being very heart-centered. No matter what it is you're doing, it should always come from a place of love.
Wow, yeah, that would be a great billboard to see around. Love always wins, right? Imagine that.
Let's do it.
Imagine that one. So we're going to ask you now, a lot of women in this case, or people that I meet that want to be entrepreneurs, the first thing they tell me is, well, I can't, right? I have kids. My hands are full. And it's true, hands are full. But I'm going to ask you, what are some common myths that people think about momtrepreneurs like yourself, and how do you debunk them?
So time and money are the biggest myths. I get it. And honestly, those 2 things kept me from starting for the longest time. It's not, you know, my kids need me. I don't have enough time, and I don't have enough money, and there's no way I can make this work. I told myself for a really long time. And I get it. Ultimately, you need to know what it is you're going after and why. You know, if what it is you're trying to create and build is going to have the impact that you believe it to, go for it. Because the resources and the people that you need to support you on your journey will show up as soon as you need them to, and you're ready for them to. And you believe that they can. So the other thing I will say with the time and money is you kind of have to get a little creative with your resources, yourself being the biggest resource. Because as an entrepreneur, when you're starting out, you're juggling every aspect of that business while you're still managing your family, you know, your personal life.
Yeah.
You need to be able to balance, and you can do it for sure, 100%. you just have to be ready for that conversation with yourself. And I think the other thing is making sure to debunk the biggest myth is I have to go all in 100%, 24/7 in every area. I think it's really common. I don't want to just say it's women, okay? Because guys do this too, where we have to just go, and we forget that we can take, a breather for ourselves. And in those moments, when you allow yourself to relax and be yourself and not the business owner or the mom or the wife, that's when you're able to get those moments of clarity, and your creativity gets sparked, and you're better able to allocate your resources because you can think so much clearer or more clearly. So I think the resources, understanding that you can allocate your resources and understanding that it's okay to take that time for yourself every now and then.
I would have to agree with you, but I would like to know a little bit more on that. So that would require a whole lot of self-awareness. How does one person become self-aware of that? Hey, I need some me time, or hey, this is me, or like that. Because I agree with what you're saying, but a lot of times, go is all we do.
So I think we look at that's why, to me, mindfulness is so important, because it brings you back to yourself. I am at the point now where I know when I'm getting really tense and stressed and need to take a breather, because I can feel that tension literally building in my body. My muscles get sore. I know when I'm tired and why. If I'm sitting down to write a blog, or if I'm sitting down to write a proposal or whatever it is I'm working on, and I feel myself like, why can't I concentrate on this? That's a sign for me that I need to slow down, even if it's just for 10 minutes. We're not talking an hour or a night out on the town. It can literally be 5 to 10 minutes where I just need to take a step back and have that awareness for where I'm at, and maybe just breathe. Maybe it's sitting out in the sun, maybe it's taking a walk, but it's a conscious effort, especially in the beginning if it's not something that you're used to, because it's a shift. It literally is a change. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So it's just understanding, being present with your body, being present for yourself, so that you are aware of what you're feeling in the moment.
So being present is really the key that allows you to get to self-awareness, that allows you to be mindfulness, allows you to get all connected. I like that. So let me ask you now another question for you. What is one thing that, now that you're an entrepreneur, that you learned, that how was your life before you learned that, and how was your life now after you learned that? And I think you kind of hit on that a little bit earlier. So please.
One thing, there's so many things. In terms of like personal development, or
just overall, like one thing that you say, wow, man, I can't believe I learned this, and because now I know this, now I can take off wherever I need to go.
So that you are always stronger than you think you are. That's not something that I knew as a kid. It's not something that I knew even as an early adult in my 20s. It took me literally to start a business and feel like everything was breaking down for me to realize that it's in those moments when you feel like everything's broken when you can rebuild, and that's when you dig in and you find your strength.
Wow, that's great advice. And that's actually leads into my next question, because my next question was, what was something you would tell your 18-year-old self? Like if you could talk
dig in and keep going. It's not so bad.
Dig in and keep going. Yeah, explain more, please.
Well, I think that we all get in our heads like what this big definition of success is, right? And we get this picture. It's like the celebrity with the money, or it usually ties in with money more than anything else. People think that success equals money. And I would disagree with that now, although my 18-year-old self would probably argue with me. Success is about showing up and getting to the finish line and pushing through all the obstacles in your mind. And the fact is that whatever it is you're dealing with, if you've shown up to do the work, maybe today is not the best effort that you made, but if you made an effort to show up and get through, that's a success. And the more you look at it like that, it takes the pressure off of the money. And so having that determination to push through is so important, because we want the thing, we want that end goal. We think that that's going to make us happy.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something like that earlier, where to get that end goal, you have to make those small decisions, those little moment decisions where I'm not going to eat that, I'm not going to do that. And that's what leads you that discipline to get to where you need to go to.
Yep. Discipline's a great word for it. Yep. Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. So let's talk a little bit now about your business. Now, you decided to start your business. You talked about there being plenty of resources. What are some resources that you found that were helpful you start your business and that you can recommend our listeners to use and grow their business?
So when I started Sweet Ladybug, like I said, I wanted to open this big cafe. The original vision that I had for myself was like kind of like the Friends Central Perk Starbucks kind of an environment, right?
Nice.
And financially, that was not in the cards for me. So what I found, I didn't know this at the time, there's these commissary kitchens. You can rent kitchen space and get started with low startup, and they're different. Some of them you buy equipment and they're small. My kitchen space was 200 square feet. I had 2 stainless steel tables, a refrigerator, and an oven and a mixer, and that was it.
Wow.
It was bare bones, but for anyone in particular that's looking to start a food-based business, those are great ways to get started with low cost to entry and, a nice low commitment, so you can kind of get your feet wet and see if it's really for you before you scale. The other thing I would say resource-wise would be in terms of office. A lot of people don't want to work from their homes or they think it's weird. But there's all these co-working spaces that are popping up all over the place, which are great because you can get office time, but you can also get resources and support from other entrepreneurs that are kind of in it with you.
Yeah, you're right. I am a member of a co-working space here in San Antonio locally, and when I go and decide to work out of there, there's a certain vibe that you feel when you walk in. There's certain energy that everybody's kind of pushing out, where everybody's trying to grow, and it's great. You have a great point.
Yeah, I think they can be really supportive environments.
Yeah, they are. So now let me ask you about your social media. Now, before we did this, I was make sure I knew who I was talking to, and I researched you a little bit more in your profile, and I saw that you like to uh, publish really motivation quotes, but more importantly, you like to do live videos or some lives and just kind of give a shout out and talk what's on your mind. So the question really is, how do you use social media to grow your business? Which I can know how you're using that, but how did you overcome that barrier of getting on live and getting in front of the camera?
That was hard. The first time I went live, I was terrified. And I think I deleted it probably 2 or 3 times before I actually did one and hit publish. That's another thing that you just kind of have to dive in. I use social media, primarily Instagram and Facebook, for our business now. We do lives, we do, longer posts, but ultimately for me, I just had to get in there and do it. And really, truly, you can prepare all day until you get into action. You're going to always be battling like, I can't do it. You gotta have to prove to yourself that you actually can do it. So I did one, got it posted, realized I didn't die, and then had something else to say and decided to do it again.
No, that's great. And again, you've seen, I've been looking at your views, it's been going up, commenting, interaction has been increasing. But let me ask you, what's one thing that you failed at it when you said, I'm going to try this social media tactic or the social media thing, and then you just fell flat?
It varies. Like I feel like in the beginning, you're finding out how to express your message, in a way that's going to resonate with the people that need you. Right. So you, in your head, you think it's going to be one way, but when the message is received, it like falls flat. That happens. It still happens. I mean, I'll post something that in my head I think is great, and it crickets.
So how do you overcome that? Do you just say, hey, I need to figure out and continue posting? Or do you let that say, oh, my day's over, let me delete it?
No, there's the temptation to delete it because, one, I try not to look too much at the metrics. I know I probably should. But if I have to sit there and look at the stats all day, I'll be looking at the stats all day and not getting other stuff done.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you just keep going. Your message is what your message is. And for me, I don't want to change what the messaging is. It's about that consistency and really not letting the crickets overcome what I'm trying to do in the business. Because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah, and that's really what I'm trying to get to, right? Like, how do you overcome it? Do you just say, and continue going? Or do you just say, oh my God, let me delete it? Because at some point, we all want to have that perfect life, right? On Facebook, we want to have that perfect life. Hey, I'm here with my wife enjoying a great dinner, but we're not talking about the argument we just had, right? Nobody posts that. Nobody posts that. They're just posting the picture of the dinner and so forth. So to you as an entrepreneur, how do you control your emotions and say, oh, I'm not going to delete it? And like you say, let it go.
That's a hard one. So ultimately what I've decided is it may not have resonated now, but I'm going to leave it up because for all I know, tomorrow somebody may see it who needs it. And that's the person that I'm talking to.
Nice.
It's not necessarily now as soon as I hit post. It's about someone needs to hear this. And that's why I'm doing it.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter. I try not to let it get to me. There is that resistance sometimes where I'm like, it wasn't the right message. I got to pull it back. But no, somebody else needs to hear it. And there have been times where it takes, a day or two. And then all of a sudden I see comments pop up on a post and I'm like, wow, how'd that happen? But it is what it is. That's the nature of the beast right now.
Yeah, you're right. Different people need to hear it at different times of their life. And that's great. You're just putting it out there. Whenever they're ready to find it, they'll find it.
Yep, exactly. And there's no guarantees, you can look at all the articles about the best times to publish on the different platforms and they're, for the most part, okay, they're accurate. Somebody did the research, but ultimately it's still, there's still no guarantee. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let me ask you about your book. This is where you pivot. It's your story. And again, it's a shortcut to preventing a lot of the problems that you had. What's some of the feedback that you gotten back from your readers? What's something that they told you that made you feel so great?
Well, the very first comment that anybody actually reached out to me is to tell me that she read the book and completely changed her life, which was crazy powerful. Like, she changed direction in her business, she changed direction in her life, and she was happy. It wasn't a struggle. Like, she was able to let go of the crap she was telling herself. And ultimately, so the book talks about fear and how fear holds us back. And it'll pop up in ways that we don't even realize, when in terms of how we judge ourselves, in terms of how we judge other people. Once we let that go and call fear for what it is, it's a lot easier to overcome and keep going. And so to receive that comment, that was the first outreach from someone, that was pretty powerful. I was like, whoa. That was it. I cried when I read it. I was so happy for her, and I'm glad that I could have been part of her journey.
Wow, that's great. So we're gonna go ahead and do this for our listeners. The first 3 people that hit me up, we're gonna go ahead and get them a book for you. We're gonna get them your book. And we're gonna read them out to you. So if you're listening to this, send me a message, and the first 3 people that do it, I'm gonna go ahead and order a book, and I'll send it your way. So I really want to read that. I'm gonna get one for myself, and I'm gonna buy 3 more for the groups, whoever messages me first. So let's go ahead and ask you. As an entrepreneur, we're always thinking ahead. We're always curious about the next thing and wondering what we can do better or where it's headed. What's something that has you curious right now, Miss Elizabeth?
Something that has me curious.
Yeah, something that you're
in terms of my business or anything.
As far as anything overall, but just something that you're like, hey, I'm really interested in this industry and this topic. I'm really interested in the way this thing is going.
So one of the things that I think about a lot that I'm really interested in is just tech in general, and the future of where technology is going to get us in terms of a society, how it impacts business. It's funny, I was at the art museum here in the city yesterday, and there's this big exhibit that talks about this and the future of tech and the future of data. And that's something that, you know, thinking about building businesses, how do you do it in a way that's sustainable but still ethical? I think is a conversation that will be ongoing, especially in the next couple of years as technology continues to be driven forward.
That's great. Ethical is very important with technology because you seem to lose that human interaction, so you forget you're dealing with a human
Yeah,
on the other end, right?
exactly.
You're just tapping on glass, and you're like, "Hurry up!"
Yeah.
All right, all right. So, Elizabeth, we have one more final question for you. If you could be in my shoes, what is one question you would have asked yourself?
Oh, that's not fair. Okay. One question. I don't know. How do you overcome stress? That's a crap question. What's your favorite music? That's a dumb question too. I don't know.
So you think I pretty much nailed the Elizabeth and what drives her?
Um, no. Okay, so you could ask me what drives me. What is the driving force, right?
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good question. Do I have to answer it now?
No, you don't. I wish you would so you can give me an honest answer, but you don't.
No. So at this point, like I stay very grounded with my kids. My especially my younger girls. I mean, they're all important to me, but it's really important for me to show my children that you can overcome. That is an important message for me to get out to everyone. So and just leading with love, getting out there every day and being the best person you possibly can.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, you guys heard it here first. Miss Elizabeth, let us know where we can find you on social media. Let us know where we can find your book for those people who don't get one free.
Sure. So the book you can find on Amazon. It is available in a print copy as well as on Kindle. You can find it in ebook version on Smashwords as well. And then you can find me online. So healinglotusconnection.com is the website for the mindful business. And you can find me, Instagram is Healing Connection PA or Healing Lotus Connection on Facebook. Or you can look me up, Elizabeth Miles.
All right, guys. And we're going to make sure to add all that information onto the description of this episode. So don't worry about that. It's going to be down there on the links below. Make sure you can get it. Miss Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking your time with us. Thank you for sharing your experience entrepreneurship, and we loved your story.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I hope everybody has a fantastic day.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.